The moment I left my mother's belly, I became a priest. Now I'm journeying westward by imperial decree and trying to worship Buddha in all sincerity. I'm no seeker of profit or status. How could there be a time when my fortune fails? Master, replied Pilgrim with a laugh. Though you may have been a monk since your youth, all you know is how to read sutras and chant the name of Buddha. You aren't familiar with the codes and laws of a state. This girl is both young and pretty, and we are after all persons who have left the family. If we travel with her, we may run into wicked people who will send us to court. Regardless of how we profess to be scripture seekers and Buddha worshippers, they may accuse us of fornication. Even if we are cleared of that charge, they may still have us convicted of kidnapping. You will be expelled from your priesthood and beaten till you're half dead. 8 rules will be sent into the army and Sha Monk will be sentenced to hard labor. Even Old Monkey will find it hard to extricate himself from such a messy affair. I may be smart-mouthed, but no amount of haggling on my part will clear us of indiscretion. Stop this nonsense, snapped Tripitaka. I'm determined to save her life. How could she involve us in any trouble? We're taking her with us. If anything arises, I'll assume the responsibility myself. You may talk like that, Master, said Pilgrim. But you don't realize that what you are doing won't save her but will only harm her, Tripitaka said. I rescued her out of the forest so that she might live. How could she be harmed instead, when she was tied up in the forest? Replied Pilgrim. She might have lasted 5 to 7 days, possibly up to half a month, but without rice to eat, she would have starved to death. Even in that situation, however, she would have died with her body preserved intact. Now you've freed her and brought her with you without realizing, of course, that you happen to be riding a horse swift as the wind. We may be able to follow you on our feet, not having really any choice in the matter, but the girl has such tiny feet that she moves with great difficulty. How could she possibly keep up with you? If by chance she drops behind, she may well run into a tiger or a leopard, which will swallow her with one gulp. In that case, haven't you harmed her life? Indeed, said Tripitaka. It's a good thing you saw things this way. What shall we do? Lift her up and let her ride with you, said Pilgrim. How can I ride with her? Asked Tripitaka, and he fell into silent thought. How can she proceed? Pressed Pilgrim. Let 8 rules carry her on his back, said Tripitaka. Laughing, Pilgrim said, idiots getting lucky. A long distance has no light load, said 8 rules. How can I be getting lucky if I'm asked to carry someone on my back? But you've such a long snout, said Pilgrim. Long enough, in fact, to stick it behind you to flirt with her once she is on your back. Don't you have an advantage there? When 8 rules heard this, he pounded his chest and jumped up and down. That's no good. That's no good, he bellowed. If Master wants to beat me a few times, I'm willing to take the pain, but it'll be quite messy for me if I put her on my back. All his life, elder brother has loved to set people up by planting false evidence. I can't carry her. All right, said Tripitaka. I can still manage to walk a few steps. Let me get down and walk slowly with her. 8 rules can lead the horse. Breaking into loud guffaws, Pilgrim said, Idiot is really getting the business. Master's looking after you by asking you to lead the horse. This ape head is mouthing absurdity again, said Tripitaka. The ancients said, though a horse can travel 1,000 miles, it can't get there without human guidance. If I walk slowly on the road, would you like to leave me behind, too? If I move slowly, you must also move slowly. We can certainly walk down the mountain with this Lady Bodhisattva. When we arrive at some human household, we can leave her there, and that will have completed our task of rescuing her. What Master says is quite reasonable, said Pilgrim. Please proceed quickly. As Tripitaka walked forward, Sha Monk toted the luggage, 8 rules led the horse and the girl, and Pilgrim held up his iron rod. They had not covered more than 20 or 30 miles when it was getting late, and there came into their view again a towered building with ornate roof carvings. "Disciples," said Tripitaka. "That must be either a monastery or temple. Let's ask for one night's lodging, and we can proceed tomorrow." "You spoke well, master," said Pilgrim. "Let's move along, all of us." As soon as they reached the gate, Tripitaka gave them this instruction: "Stand away from the door, all of you, and let me go ask for lodging. If it's convenient, someone will come to call you." All of them stood beneath the shade of some willow trees, but Pilgrim, gripping his iron rod, stood guard over the girl. The elder strode forward and saw that the temple gate was so badly rotted that it was all crooked and bent. When he pushed it open to have another look, he was filled with grief, for he found the long corridors quiet, an old temple desolate, mosses filled the courtyard, and weeds choked the path. Only the fireflies served as lanterns, and frog croaks acted for water clocks. All at once the elder could not hold back his tears. Truly, the walls were unused and collapsing, the chambers forlorn and crumbling. Over 10 piles of broken bricks and tiles. They're all bent pillars and snapped beams. Green grasses grew both front and back. Dust buried the incense alcove. The bell tower stood in ruin, the drum had no skin. The crystal chalice was cracked and chipped. Buddha's gold frame lacked luster. Arhats lay prone east and west. Guanyin, rain-soaked, was reduced to clay. Her willow vase fallen to earth. No priests would enter during the day. Only foxes rested here by night. You heard only the wind's thunderous roar. In this hiding place of all tigers and leopards, walls on all 4 sides had collapsed. Without doors to fence in the house. We have also a testimonial poem that says, "A very old temple in disrepair. Decayed, declining, no one seems to care. The fierce wind fractures the guardians' faces, and heavy rain the Buddha heads defaces. The arhats have fallen, they're strewn about. Homeless, a local spirit sleeps without. Too sorry sights for one to look upon. The bronze bells grounded for the belfries gone." Forcing himself to be bold, Tripitaka walked through the second-level door and found that the belfry and the drum tower had both collapsed. All there was left was a huge bronze bell standing on the ground. The upper half was white as snow and the lower half was blue-green like indigo. It had been there for many years, you see, rain had whitened the upper part of the bell and the dampness of the earth had coated the lower part with copperas. Rubbing the bell with his hand, Tripitaka cried out, "O bell! You used to make thunderous peal on a tower hung high, or boom carved beam tones to the distant sky, or ring in the dawn when the roosters crow, or send off the twilight when the sun dropped low. The bronze melter, I wonder where he is, and whether the smith who forged you still exists. These two, I think, are now for Hades bound. They have no traces, and you have no sound." As the elder loudly lamented in this manner, he unwittingly disturbed a temple worker who was in charge of incense and fire. When he heard someone speaking, he scrambled up, picked up a piece of broken brick, and tossed it at the bell. The loud clang so scared the elder that he fell to the ground. He struggled up and tried to flee, only to trip over the root of a tree and stumble a second time. Lying on the ground, the elder said, "O bell! While this humble cleric laments your state, a loud clang suddenly reaches my ears. No one takes the road to western heaven, I fear. And thus you've become a spirit o'er the years." The temple worker rushed forward and raised him up, saying, "Please rise, venerable father. The bell has not turned into a spirit. I struck it, and that is why it clanged." When he raised his head and saw how ugly and dark the worker looked, he said, "Could you be some sort of goblin or fiend? I'm no ordinary human, but someone from the great Tang. Under my command are disciples who can subdue the dragon and tame the tiger. If you run into them, It won't be easy to preserve your life." Going to his knees, the temple worker said, "Don't be afraid, venerable father. I'm no fiend, only a temple worker in care of the fire and incense in this monastery. When I heard your virtuous lament just now, I was about to step out and receive you. Then I was afraid you might be some kind of perverse demon knocking at our door, so I picked up a piece of brick to toss at the bell just to calm my own fears before I dared come out. Venerable father, please rise." Only then did the Tang monk collect his wits and say, "Keeper, you nearly frightened me to death. Please take me in." The worker led the Tang monk straight through the third-level door, the inside of which he found to be quite different from the outside. He saw walls of cloud patterns built by bluish bricks, and a main hall roofed in green glazed tiles. Yellow gold trimmed the saintly forms. White jade slabs made up the steps. Green light danced on the great hero hall. Zealous airs rose from the pure alcove on Manjusri Hall. Colorful designs soared like clouds on the Transmigration Hall. Painted flowers heaped up elegance. A pointed vase tipped the triple-layered eave. A brocade top lined the 5 Blessings Tower. 1,000 bamboos rocked the priestly beds. 10,000 green pines lit up the Buddhist gate. Golden light shone within the Jade Cloud Palace. Auspicious hues fluttered in the purple mists. With dawn, a fragrant breeze blew to all 4 quarters. By dusk, the painted drum rolled from a tall mountain. If one could face the sun to mend a cloak, would he not by moonlight finish the book?